On this episode of Uncharted Lancaster, we have Adam Zern. Adam, tell us a little bit about how you got started and what is Uncharted Lancaster?
Well, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited. Uncharted Lancaster is a website that I run, and it kind of has two focus. One is history. And so I like to talk a lot about local history here in the Lancaster County area. I like to highlight like fascinating pieces, maybe seldom known pieces of Lancaster history. I mean, just for example, today is the anniversary of the first commercial telegraph message. It was sent from Lancaster to Harrisburg. And the iconic message wasn't some kind of, one stall step for a man, one great, leap for mankind. It was, why don't you answer, you rascals? Uh,
Doesn't that feel
so
like real life?
exactly. The system had been installed since the 1st of January, and it took them 8 days before they could get it to work. And so that was the iconic message that was sent. It was a commercial failure. People didn't understand the technology. People thought, well, if I can send messages, maybe I can send other things. And so people would show up with pies or clothing, thinking that they could somehow maybe telegraph that to their friends in Harrisburg. And the bellhops at the hotel where it was housed didn't discourage that either. Like, oh yeah, you can take a pie in there and they'll send that for you right through the telegraphs.
Absolutely. Teleport.
Yeah, just teleport. And so, that didn't work. Another interesting thing about it is the reason we spell a lot of words the way we do here in the United States is because of the telegraph. And so, any extra letters, so if you think about the British spellings, like color has a U in it. Well, you would have to pay per letter in a telegraph message. And so early journalists would just get rid of any extra letters they could. So color with the U, the traveled can have two L's in it, but most times here in the United States, we don't use that. And again, so any extra letters they could get rid of, we did. And that's kind of why we have the defined spelling of the words that we do because of the telegraph. And a lot of that started right here in Lancaster, which is pretty interesting, I think. The other side of Uncharted Lancaster is the adventure side. And so, as an incentive to visit some of the historic locations that I've mentioned, I've created a series of treasure hunts. And if you can go and decipher the clues and solve the riddles, there's some treasure at the end waiting for you. You get to visit some neat places and learn some history along the way. And I had such a neat experience, learning all these things and exploring this place that I thought, I think other people might like doing this. Maybe not over the
Yes.
course of months, but a few hours on a Saturday afternoon would be a lot of fun. And so I wrote up all the history and put together all the clues and all of that. And here we are a couple of years later, and I've got like 12 adventures. I think I have like 150 articles on the website, and people go out every weekend and do these adventures because I have to keep going back out and refill those treasure boxes. So I know there's people out there doing them.
That's neat. And for the people who are watching, these adventures are held on your website. And can you tell
Right.
us where to find that?
Yeah, unchartedlancaster.com, and you can spell it almost any way because I think I own the domain for all of them in case in case you
We're going to
butcher
put
it.
it at the bottom of the screen right now so that you can check it
Awesome.
out. And if you hold your phone up right now with your camera app open, we actually created a QR code you'll see on your screen right now, and it will take you right to his website. So
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
yes. Well, and Adam, you've been doing this for a couple of years, and there are so many different age groups that enjoy this type of adventures. You've really opened up an opportunity for people to get out of their homes, kind of bring back their childlike beliefs and a little bit of imagination and adventure side. Our community thanks you, but you've been in Lancaster how long? How did you decide to bring this adventure to specifically the Lancaster area?
Yeah, I've been here. I went to Millersville University, so I was originally from like Northeast Pennsylvania, and I came here in about '97 and started college, and just never left. I met my wife. I got a job here, and so I'm a Lancaster transplant, and my parents were both teachers, and every summer we traveled, and I joke that if a famous guy lived there, I have seen his or her house, whatever it might be, all over the place. And so I think this my parents kind of instilled that love for history for me, and then just living here, I'm kind of curious, where am I, what is this place, because I just was kind of a transplant. And then again, like when people just asking me and, hey, well, have you seen that cemetery? No. And just things like that. I'm like, well, what is that? And just doing that search just keeps, as I'm reading about Shanks Ferry, I keep discovering properties near it. And that takes me to the next thing. And reading some more about that takes me to the next thing. And now people email me and message me like, oh, do you know about this? Or can you tell me more about that? I'm like, well, I can't, but I'm going to add that to the reading list and do some searching on that topic.
So if you are watching and you have a really neat historical or something that's unusual and you want to send it to Adam, can we put up your contact, or is that on your webpage as well?
Yeah, you can find it. Yeah, you can message me through the website, social media, or just Adam at unchartedlancaster.com. And so, any of whatever your medium of favorite there is choices, that'll work just fine.
Tell us a little bit about some of the adventures you've created, because you have so many different avenues to go down on the website. Tell us a little bit about how you've created all of these different adventures.
Well, my favorite time of year to explore is like right now in the winter. So the brush is down and I can get out and really explore. And so probably one of my favorite places to go and one of my favorite adventures is the tunnels of Enola. And so there is this 29-mile stretch of, now it's rail trail, but it was railroad. And so I walk the dogs there and I ride the bike there. And in the summer, I could hear water. And so this is, I could hear water on one side and I can see the Susquehanna River on the other. And so I'm thinking that water has to go under us
Ooh,
somehow.
yes.
So there's too much brush in the summer to get down there. There's pickers and all that kind of stuff. So, this time of year with all that gone, I can go down there and explore. And so last winter, I visited, there's about a 13-mile stretch now that I've done from basically Cresswell all the way to Quarryville. And there are just scores of tunnels and culverts. Fun fact, if water flows through it, it's a culvert. So,
Ooh.
there you go. So there's just scores of these tunnels and culverts underneath the Enola low grade. And between Shanks Ferry and Safe Harbor, there are four, and they are all very different from each other. One has these small double little tunnels, and they're small. I mean, they're a little bit wider than my shoulders, and you can walk through it, but it's dark and it's long. And so then the next one is you could almost maybe drive a car through it. Not that you could ever get a car down there, but there's just these four different tunnels. And so I've created this adventure where you need to, go and see all four of them. And you've kind of got to match a picture, on a piece of paper with the correct tunnel. And that kind of helps unlocks this code that reveals the location of where these, buried little gems are. And so you can go home with some buried treasure. But that's a neat hike. I've taken some Cub Scouts and some Boys Brigade and some other groups just on it, and it's on the website, the tunnels of Enola. But you get to go and twist your way through some dark tunnels and have a great time. I took my sister-in-law and she looked at it and she said, "Oh, no way, I'm out." I'm not going through that tunnel.
So it is for the adventurous soul. So there you go. You've
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
have that spirit within you to start your journey. Wow. And all of your adventures have kind of a different historical twist to it. And just to give a sneak preview for the people who are watching, Adam's going to be joining us on weekly segments and he'll tell you a little bit more about the different adventures. But this episode is trying to give you an idea of what Adam is all about and how he got started. Now, can you tell us a little bit about, what they might find on your adventures? You said that there are gems and other trinkets they might find. When we go on these adventures, what might we find?
Well, it depends on the adventure. I usually try and either create a theme or whatever the sort of the theme of it. So there's the Pequay Trolley Trail. And, in the early 1900s, there was a series of little trolleys that crisscrossed all over Lancaster County. And there's one that goes from, it went all the way from Millersville all the way down to the town of Pequay. And the interesting thing was Pequay used to be like the vacation destination back before the Great Depression. It was the place to go, as opposed to like the Poconos later and maybe now other places here in the country. People went there and they do the same things then that we do now: swim and fish and visit the cave and such. But there's a trolley trail there, and you can go and do this adventure. And there's a couple neat things to see and some stone ruins. But I've got a little train whistle there that you can find, and so people have a good time doing that. There's this haunted Indian gold, and this is based on I don't know if it's a true legend, but based on a Lancaster legend that there is this hoard of gold that's being guarded by this 7-foot tall Native American spirit, and he moves the gold nightly. So that's why it's so hard to find. But if you can go and find all the spots that I have out there, you get to walk away with a little plastic gold coin. So, and then another one, you visit Shanks Ferry, and I'm kind of into '80s stuff and pop culture, and you can, get the hand of the king from Game of Thrones there. It's dangerous to wear because those guys keep dying. So I wear at your own risk.
I am so excited as you're describing this, and I'm sure our viewers as well are thinking like, okay, I want to start. How do I start? So if we're thinking, okay, gotta hop on that website, where's step one? What do we do?
Yeah, so you just go to the website and click the adventure button there, and the list of all the adventures here in the county on all over available, and you can just kind of read through them. Each one's got a little description. They get a rating, like how many fedoras difficult is it, from 1 to 5. One, Marcus Brody could do it. 5, you're gonna need, Indiana Jones and Ben Gates and the entire squad of the Goonies to finish it. It's that hard, and so you gotta pick your skill level. Most people, once they do one, they do all of them. I'll get messages, oh, we did our first adventure today, it was so great, we can't wait to do the next one next weekend. And they just, once they do one, they're completers.
I'm excited. All right, so we're going to wrap up this episode today. Is there a little teaser you'd like to lead into our next episode next week?
Well, absolutely. So coming soon this spring, beyond giving like plastic gold coins, I've always wanted to do like a real treasure hunt. So I've partnered with the Historic Preservation Trust of Lancaster County. And instead of plastic coins, we're going to hide a loot crate out in the woods with over $1,000 in $1 coins. And so, people who go along, they get a decipher paper. You may have noticed this painting behind me. It's done by Scott Cantrell. You can find it at Cantrell Art on Instagram, and that's part of the map to finding the treasure. But the person who finds it's going to walk away with, an 18-pound box with over $1,000 in $1 coins. And so, yes, the coin shortage is real, and it's my fault. I cleaned out 4 banks getting all the coins that I needed to do that treasure hunt. So we're going to be releasing that here, hopefully in March. But pretty exciting. So I'll still have the regular adventures, but then we're going to have this super special 6-week long adventure that people can go and walk away with some real prizes.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first on the Edge with Lauren, and we're excited to have Adam back each week to kind of give us a little bit more about some of the adventures that he's created and give us a little bit more of a clue as what's coming up in March, just to get you on the edge of your seat. But thank you so much, Adam, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, thank you, Lauren.